Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. Of course, as always, I'm your host here with you, Charles Hamaker, here in the Black Media Matters studios. It is beautiful. It's been a beautiful weekend of weather here in the Pacific Northwest, here in Seattle. I'm sure everybody has shared their photos of the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, all that. I fell asleep before it could happen, so I missed out on it. And I'll just get to live vicariously through all of your photos. So great to deal with that. I've got my Circling Seattle Sports hat on, the dad hat, so you get to see that in person. I've also got this with me. Since we're starting off the show like that, I've got my over-the-shoulder Circling Seattle Sports bag. It's got logos on both sides of it. There's the CSS logo there, the Circling Seattle Sports word mark. It's nice here. So I'm going to bring this around with me to all the games that we cover. It's got a nice main pouch in here. You've got a smaller pouch as well. I'm going to bring all the stickers that I've got with me. So if you see me, around at these games, feel free. I'll have this with me. I'll have stickers to give out. And you can also, if you can't come and see me at any of these games as well, or you just want more stickers, circlingseattlesports.com/merch has all of our merch, or just go to our website, circlingseattlesports.com. You can take care of yourself there. So we'll get into it. It's been beautiful the month of May so far. The weather's great here in Seattle. We're getting into the thick of things. I promise you, I've talked internally with our team at Circling Seattle Sports as well as at Converge Media about how once the month of May begins, we're really entering a massive busy time here in the sports world, whether it's the Seahawks will have their mini camp and stuff like that, and their off-season camps as well. I had a little bit of that with rookie camp the previous week. There's got some stuff coming up late May and into June, so there's that to deal with. You look at the Mariners, obviously they're playing. The Storm, their season kicks off this upcoming week. You look at the Sounders and the Reign, they're already currently going. The Kraken, found out their place in the draft lottery. There's the draft to look forward to. There's, rookie development, dev camp. There's training camp to look forward to in a few months. Excuse me. The Seawolves are underway currently. They continue their season right now. The Seattle Orcas will be kicking off in some amount of time as well, in addition to the minor league coverage that we do over at CSS Futures and the University of Washington coverage that we do over at CSS Huskies. So there's a lot going on, and I just at times here and there I ask for a little bit of space and grace as running this entity that you see as Circling Seattle Sports can be a lot. We do a lot and we get praise for that, which is nice, but it's not always glamorous. It's not always fun posting these things and getting to do the different in-person coverage. It does require a lot of work, but we do it for you to bring you that coverage and to truly be the only outlet here that covers all of these different teams and provides the same level of access to them as any other teams. It's all equal, and equitable, rather, I guess, because the word equal isn't always the best one to use for that. So we get straight into it with our Seahawks-related news. It's a much quieter week for the Seahawks. There's only two real pieces of note here. May 6th, the team signed cornerback Michael Jackson to a new restructured contract. Jackson signs a new deal with the Hawks that will drop his cap hit from just over $3 million to $1.2 million. That puts the Seahawks back in the black in cap space at just over $1.5 million. They needed to do something similar to this or something like this because of the fact that they had to create some space to sign their NFL draft picks. So, there was some interesting thought with the draft as the Seahawks did select two cornerbacks, both from Auburn, thought what might happen in the defensive back room. The veteran corner in Michael Jackson stays to open up just about $2 million in cap space. It's needed as the Seahawks will begin signing their draft picks. Byron Murphy, the first round pick at 16th overall, is the only one to do so far. but you're going to need them surely when the team ends up signing a few more of them. He had redone his contract back on Monday. Jackson this spring signed a restricted free agent tender that would have given him a salary of just over $3.1 million if he were to make the 53-man roster, but it didn't contain any guaranteed money. All of it counted against the cap space, though. So the Seahawks were able to cut that cap number significantly by signing him to a new deal that's worth $1.22 million and gives him $167,500 signing bonus. They went from $300,000 over the cap to just over $1.5 million under it. They were going to need to do something when they signed Murphy II to his 4-year rookie deal, which counts for $2.94 million against the cap. That helps them do that with this. So great to see that. You got to make some space somehow, and to keep a veteran like Michael Jackson, who has been pretty valuable to this team and is taking up a good amount of snaps for this team, is a good way to do so. So that, and then on May 8th, kind of in an interesting move, the team waived quarterback Siobhan Cordero. This leaves Seattle with just 2 quarterbacks on its roster with Geno Smith and Sam Howell. Cordero took part in rookie minicamp this last weekend. So there was this piece of news. And then the other one, I really struggled with his name last week, and I'm sorry that I struggled so much with it. But when you look at it with the Seahawks having Tua Tagovailoa's brother from Maryland, in camp, there was some thought maybe he would do something. He kind of struggled in the mini camp that they had. But then, so you look at it here, he went on to go and play with the Cardinals in their camp, which was interesting to note. After he didn't end up signing with the Seahawks following mini camp, and now Cordero is waived by the team on the 8th. So it's going to be really interesting to see what ultimately the team decides to do. At the cornerback position, it's pretty commonplace for teams to hold 3 quarterbacks on their roster. So for them to not currently have one as we get, kind of approach camp is unique, but we'll have to see how that goes for the team. I'm sure there's some plan in place that the Seahawks have. So we'll go over it again with Seattle being one of the 8 teams with a new head coach in 2024. Mike McDonald and his staff will conduct that voluntary minicamp back in April to kick off phase 2 of the program. As we mentioned, phase 3 of that program doesn't begin until May 20th, when the Seahawks will conduct 10 organized team activity workouts through June 6th. McDonald will also hold a mandatory minicamp from June 11th to 13th to wrap up the off-season program. No live contact is permitted during this period, but 7-on-7 and 9-on-7 and 11-on-11 team drills will all be allowed, along with individual and group drills. From the Seahawks, and the really small bit of news is we're in the off-season. I mentioned how busy, from May on, we're going to get. There are going to be weeks like this with the Seahawks where it's just going to kind of peter along and we're not going to get too much going on. We go over into our Mariners, who the road series in Minnesota didn't go too great. But returning home, there's been positives throughout the week. So it's not like some weeks throughout the season so far where it's been, all panic there. So we'll go into it. May 6th at the Twins, the team began a 4-game road series in Minnesota at Target Field. Game 1 on the 6th was a 1-3 loss. Our player of the game, designated hitter Mitch Garver. Garver, a former Twin, recorded 1 hit and 1 RBI, driving in the only run the Mariners got this day. Seattle, 3 hits on the day. They struggle against young Twins starter Simeon Woods Richardson, striking out a ton, and they're not able to do anything despite having some big opportunities late into the ballgame. May 7th, the next day, at the Twins, a 10-6 victory. Our player of the game, catcher Cal Raleigh, 1 hit, 2 runs, 4 RBIs, and 1 walk. Raleigh, with a pinch hit grand slam late into the game, sparked the Mariners' offense after they had gotten a lead early, lost that lead, was able to jumpstart the offense, and the Mariners were able to put a 10 spot on Minnesota to take Game 2 of this series. Quickly here, we'll look at it. I was actually in Minnesota for the first 2 games of the series. May 6th as a fan, May 7th covering the team. So I'm going to include my vlog for May 7th into the episode right about here. And I will also put a timestamp if you want to skip it right about here.
Hello, everybody. Charles Hamaker here with you with Circling Seattle Sports. I'm hoping I'm not about to get hit by someone on a bike. I can hear the bell behind me. This is day 2. Oh, free handbag. Day 2 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yesterday, by the time that I'm recording this, that vlog should be out. Or by the time that you see this, obviously it'll be out hopefully. But went to game 1 of this 4-game series between the Twins and our Mariners. As a fan, they would lose at 1-3. Really got to experience a lot of Target Field, which is kind of cool. A little disappointed that gates only open for fans just an hour before first pitch. Feels like I could use some more time to explore the ballpark, but you know, what are you gonna do about it? But no, so today, covering it, credentialed for today. Media gates open at 2 o'clock. I'm a little early, I believe. I'm 10 minutes out from 2 o'clock right now. And, but getting there, so I make sure I can find the right entrance and all that. But no, excited to see it. Excited to cover my first road baseball game. And see how the rest of that goes. So, you know, we'll include what I can throughout this and show you throughout my day here. So, here we go.
The time of the game is 3 hours and 1 minute. The winning pitcher is Stanek. He is 1-0. The losing pitcher is Alcala. He is 1.
Okay, so you've probably seen a few different things. I think I included me going to the chicken spot I've been at the last 2 games. I got to use the little door finally this time, which was nice. But truthfully, I liked the chicken wings that I had yesterday as opposed to the tenders today. I am an advocate of more stadiums, ballparks, venues having hot sauce when you've got chicken tenders, right? Every venue can sell chicken tenders, right? Why? So, sorry, go back. Every venue can sell chicken tenders. So why aren't we selling hot sauce? Hot sauce is just such a natural companion for chicken. Am I wrong? Right? So anyway, No, I mean, it's been really cool to go through Target Field the last few days. Yesterday as a fan, today as working press. It was a good game today, coverage-wise, just because there was a lot of action and the Mariners did win. So, it's always more fun when the team you're covering wins, at least in my opinion. Fan engagement's better. The guys are easier to get quotes from, at least interesting quotes, right? So, just better in my opinion. Pretty sure I'm the last one in this press box right now. If not, I apologize to anybody who has to hear this. But, good to see a lot of the folks. Sorry about that. Good to see a lot of the folks that, well, not a lot. There's only a few guys from PR, Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times, and Shannon Dreyer. Good to see the radio and TV guys. Dave Sims was happy to see me. Rick was happy to see me. Messed around with Aaron Goldsmith. I was being a smart guy. I was making smart comments to him as he and Gary Hill were inspecting some of the baseballs that Perry Hill uses for infield practice, right? They eventually use for batting practice. And because I was giving him lip, Goldsmith pulls out a good shiny baseball. Good shiny baseball is called a pearl, right? No imperfections, just really nice and shiny and clean. And he goes, "It's nice and smooth, like his head." And he looks at me, and I was like, God damn it. So, no, I mean, there's a lot of great folks who cover the team on a regular basis. So, always happy to see them, and really cool to cover my first game on the road. I feel bad. A lot of folks are like, "Oh, see you tomorrow." I'm like, nope. I fly back to Seattle tomorrow. So, got a rain game to cover tomorrow at Lumen. I should get in around 5, so I'll literally have to go from the airport to the stadium, which is fine because the light rail runs that way. But, I really enjoyed the experience. The ballpark was great. The game I got to cover was a lot of fun. Hard to be mad at any of that as I try to cover this credential up, because you're not supposed to show credentials ever. But no, really enjoyed that. I might include another video of me after this. Might not. I've said that in a lot of these vlogs that I've done, and then I'm going to sleep. I got a lot to do, so I'm trying to get back to the hotel, use the little hotel desk that they provide. Also not trying to wake my parents up, so we'll see. But really enjoyable. Really happy with how this all went. I'll show everybody the ballpark here. The only folks that are around right now that I can tell are those who are cleaning up the stadium after it's closed, but you can just kind of see. Yeah, really cool. So anyways, that's likely it for me, so hope you enjoy it. Covering the Mariners on the road here at Target Field. Okay, that was almost bad and awkward. I got stuck trying to leave because I don't know, they're kind of funky. It's not as clear the in and out ways as T-Mobile Park, and I don't say that because I'm new here, right? I more so say it because, when you enter for press level on T-Mobile Park, you're on the Terrace Club level, and you can just go back out of the bridge, the parking lot, or you can go out through the third base entry level lobby, because the Terrace Club has an elevator connected to that, right? That's not the case here. I had to walk through concourse when I first came in, as instructed by the nice man who let me in. So I was walking around here at these different gates, and all these gates, right, as there's a, I'm gonna let this go by. Oh, they all have these giant padlocks, right? And so I can't go out through any of those because I don't have a fucking key, obviously. So, and the other part too is that there are a bunch of exit doors that are labeled, but they're emergency exits. They're emergency exits. So if I were to press the door, the alarm goes off. I didn't want to do that. So, you know, I finally was able to find a door that opened and closed like a normal exit and didn't provide an alarm. So that's fine. So now it's off to the hotel. Maybe get some food on the way back. But yeah, unique experience there.
So going from there, we go back into the Twins series, May 8th at the Twins. Coming off that big 10-6 win, our Mariners would lose 3-6. Uncharacteristic day from George Kirby, giving up a few homers in this one. The Mariners offense not able to fully keep up. Once again, our player of the game is Mitch Garver at the designated hitter spot. 2 hits, 1 run, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and a solo homer against one of his former teams. May 9th at the Twins to close out the series. He had Logan Gilbert on the mound coming into this one, and looking forward to it considering how good, how consistent that Logan Gilbert has been this year. And unfortunately, again, over the course of a 162-game season, you're going to have the occasional struggles. Gilbert struggles in this game. The Mariners lose 1-11. Our player of the game, first baseman Luke Raley. Raley giving Ty France a day off, 2 hits and 1 RBI. From there, the Mariners got back home after that 4-game road series in Minnesota to close out a 7-game road trip. They returned home May 10th to begin a 6-game homestand, starting with a 3-game series against the Oakland Athletics. An Oakland Athletics team that, you know, is playing just around the 500 mark on the season so far. They're not quite the historically bad Oakland team that we saw last year, and they've got some talent on their roster. I say all this, and the Mariners won the first game of the series by a score of 8-1. Our player of the game, shortstop Dylan Moore. Demo, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 RBIs, including a 2-run homer. Those 5 RBIs in a game is a career high for Dylan Moore. The next day, May 11th versus Oakland, a tough one. This was a tough one. Bryce Miller put in a good game, only allowing 2 runs in this one. Tough. The Mariners offense struggles. They lose 1-8. The Athletics are able to bust it open later into the game and flip the script in terms of score from game 1. Our player of the game, catcher Cal Raleigh. Cal, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI in this one. A solo homer got the scoring started and got the Mariners on the board early, but they weren't able to do much outside of that and after that. So from there, we look May 12th. Mother's Day, at the final game of the series, the Mariners win this one by a score of 8-4. Luis Castillo strong through 6 innings. It's his 31st quality start since joining the Mariners, and the offense is able to pick things up. 5 runs within the first 2 innings, including a 4 spot in the second inning, then adding on as the game goes on. The Twins do put in a few more runs later into the game, but it's not enough, and the Mariners get the win. Our player of the game, designated hitter Mitch Garver. Garver, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 RBIs, and a walk. I'll also throw in Julio Rodriguez there, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a walk. Both Rodriguez and Garver hit homers. Both of them 2-run homers, I believe, if I look here and I double-check that. Rodriguez, 2-run, Garver, 2-run. Yes, I was correct. Even Sebi Savala hits a home run in this one, and the Mariners win to close out the series. They win their 7th series and their last 8 attempts. Going straight into it, our player of the week, catcher Cal Raleigh. You heard his name a few times. In addition to holding down the backstop position for the Mariners and being so rock solid, consistent there, calling all of the pitches and leading this rotation and this pitching staff that's been historically good in the season so far. Raleigh, really big boost at the plate as of lately, and I mean, really to begin the year. Last 7 days, 6 games played, 4 hits, 1 double, 2 homers, 5 runs scored, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, a .250 batting average, a .400 on base percentage, a .688 slugging percentage, and a 1.088 on base plus slugging. And then I'm trying to grab the statistic here for it with Cal Raleigh. Cal Raleigh is the first American League catcher to hit 10-plus homers in his team's first 40 games of a season since Jorge Posada did it with the New York Yankees back in 2003 with 10 homers as well. So Cal, really historically good there, as I just mentioned the stat, and looking pretty good as well. So, you look at this past week of games, the Twins came into that series against the Mariners as one of the hottest teams in baseball. The day before the Mariners and the Twins began that 4-game set, Minnesota had lost after having, I believe it was a 12 or 13 game winning streak. So they were really hot. They've really pushed themselves to fight at the top of their division. They've got some good pitching. They do have some solid bats in that lineup, including former Mariner Carlos Santana. You look at it, right, and the 1-11 loss, pretty ugly. But then you look at the 6th and the 8th there, both in kind of, the 6th, just an example of the offense really struggling. The 8th, an example of an uncharacteristic start from George Kirby. So, I'm not super worried about it. It's just more of the same sort of similar frustrations with the offense, with the strikeouts, with the inability to keep the line moving, not putting the ball in play enough. I mentioned the game on the 6th, just 3 base hits. Hard to do much there. And then on the 11th, just everything goes downhill. You kind of flush that one and move forward because you have to, right? Over the course of 162 games, you're going to have to be able to deal with the losses, stomach some of the ugly ones, and then learn from them and move forward. So, overall, I'm not super upset. Nice to get the rubber match. You keep, as we've said, since we've been here at Converge, excuse me, if you win series, it will help you. You don't have to sweep everybody. It's going to be pretty impossible to sweep everybody. Just win the series, win the majority of the games in the series. You'll be fine. You'll help yourself moving forward. And with that win on the 12th and with a loss by the Rangers, who got swept by the Colorado Rockies actually this weekend, the Mariners moved back into first place in the AL West. So we go into it with some injury news as it begins every homestand for the Mariners. General Manager Justin Hollander met with the media. I'm getting ahead of myself, actually. May 7th, we got some injury updates on J.P. Crawford and Dom Canzone from manager Scott Service. Service said they got video of J.P. Crawford hitting in the batting cage in Arizona. He's progressing to hitting on the field. The hope is that he can swing at 100% this weekend in Seattle, which just took place, and then go on a brief rehab stint from there. Canzone is also taking swings, but he's a little behind JP when it comes to his return. He is progressing. He would also need a longer rehab stint. He began it on the weekend with the Tacoma Rainiers, hit a few doubles in 2 games with them down there, making some loud contact, which is nice, which you want to see. Canzone's got that power. He's just got to make some better swing decisions. We get to it then on May 10th, the beginning of the homestand. Justin Hollander provides general injury updates to open up the homestand. For the guys on the 10-day and 15-day injured list, going back to J.P. Crawford, he is expected to return within the week, coming off of that right oblique strain. Crawford took part in a full pregame workout when the Mariners opened the homestand on May 10th, making throws on ground balls and taking batting practice on the field. He said in passing that he's feeling at full strength physically, but needs to get his timing down. It's likely that he goes on a minor league rehab assignment, but probably for only 1 or 2 games, putting him in line to potentially be activated as soon as before the current homestand ends. Crawford sustained a right oblique strain when taking what he described as an awkward swing during the late rounds of batting practice on April 24th, after which an MRI exam revealed a grade 1 severity oblique strain. Canzone, updating him on that left AC joint sprain. He's expected to be back this upcoming weekend. Canzone, as I mentioned, joined AAA Tacoma on the road and began a rehab assignment. They were going to say 4 games to begin with, so by the time this is coming out, he's gone through 2 of them already. At the end of those 4 games, General Manager Justin Hollander says they'll reassess, which would put him in line to return when the Mariners begin their next road trip the weekend of the 17th. With left-handed pitcher Taylor Saucedo, who suffered a right knee hyperextension in that game on May 7th that I was at, an expected return date of late May. The MRI that he underwent after suffering the injury on the 7th was overall positive, and the injury was not as bad as initially feared. Saucedo and the club are now awaiting the soreness to subside before they map out a rehab, but they're optimistic that he'll only need to be on the injury list for that 15-day stint. He suffered the injury running to cover first base on a ground ball, but stumbled awkwardly after stepping on the bag. We go over to the guys on the 60-day IL. Right-handed pitcher Gregory Santos, who is dealing with a right lat strain injury, is now, as expected, return date got pushed back from late June to early July. At the soonest, Santos recently experienced a setback that forced him into a 3 or 4 day shutdown and another MRI. Santos then restarted his throwing program back at the 60 feet range, which pushed his timeline back into July from late May, early June range that the Mariners were hopeful for. He's expected to transition his rehab from Arizona to Seattle, which he has. We did see him on Sunday with the team. He's initially experienced shoulder soreness at the beginning of spring training and was set back by a lat strain during a bullpen session while he was ramping back up. We get to some pretty big news here. Right-handed pitcher Matt Brash, who is dealing with right elbow inflammation. By the time you're seeing this, you probably know about it already. Has undergone Tommy John surgery. He underwent that surgery on May 8th, ending his 2024 season 3 months after initially experiencing soreness during his second bullpen session in spring training. Brash had the ulnar collateral ligament in his pitching elbow repaired and a brace installed, which has typically allowed patients to begin physical therapy sooner. That's why the Mariners are hopeful he can return in 12 months, potentially as soon as June 2025. He had the surgery on Wednesday with Dr. Keith Meister, the orthopedist that Brash has worked with since first experiencing right elbow inflammation in early spring. The Mariners estimated his recovery in the range of 12.5 months for major league activation, targeting next June. That brace, which I've mentioned, was installed around the repaired ligament, has typically allowed patients to begin the physical therapy sooner, which is why the Mariners are hopeful that Brash can return in those 12 months. His surgery was not the same internal brace procedure that many notable pitchers have undergone recently, such as Atlanta Braves pitcher Spencer Strider back in April. Hollander said it could go faster than that. I would be excited if it did. I would hate to ever peg that as the most likely outcome, a sub-12-month rehab, but they feel really good about how the procedure went and his ability to rehab from it successfully. Excuse me. Brash and Meister came to the decision shortly after Brash was shut down on April 27th, just as he was preparing for a minor league rehab assignment. At the time, Hollander said that Brash was experiencing issues bouncing back after each throwing session. The MRI that Brash underwent with Meister in spring revealed inflammation, but he wasn't experiencing pronounced pain, which is why he attempted a rehab route rather than surgery at the time. Specifically, Hollander said Brash experienced a small tear to the posterior area of the UCL. Brash led the majors last year with 78 appearances and pitched in some of the Mariners' highest leverage spots. He carried a 3.06 ERA and a 1.32 ERA plus, with the league average being at 100, with a 34.7% strikeout rate and a 9.4% walk rate in 70 2/3 innings pitched. His 2.1 wins above replacement per Fangraphs ranked 4th highest amongst all MLB relievers. Before I get into team news, obviously tough to hear that with Brash, just considering how valuable he's been for the Mariners. something that I thought was notable when Hollander gave us that update on the 10th, he really took some time to talk about the person that Matt Brash was and how his teammates really loved having him around, how big he was for the ball club. So it's tough. I mean, I believe he'll be around the team in Seattle, similar to how Robbie Ray was last year. But obviously tough to hear that. Kind of when we got the update last from Hollander about how, they were going to have Brash go and meet with Meister again, how he wasn't bouncing back, how they were concerned. I kind of thought this might be going in this route, but I was hoping that we wouldn't have to see that. So, excuse me, we continue with team-related news here. May 8th, the following roster moves were made. Here we go. Edward Bazardo, wearing the number 83, the right-handed pitcher, was reinstated from the 15-day injured list following a right rotator cuff strain. He had been with the Tacoma Rainiers with a rehab assignment. Excuse me. Left-handed pitcher Kirby Sneed, wearing number 43, was selected from AAA Tacoma. And when he made his debut with the team on the 8th, he became the 1,000th career player in Mariners franchise history, which is very cool. Left-handed pitcher Taylor Saucedo was placed on the 15-day IL with that right knee hyperextension. Right-handed pitcher Emerson Hancock was optioned to AAA Tacoma, and right-handed pitcher Matt Brash was transferred to the 60-day IL. May 10th, Brian Wu, wearing the number 22, as announced this offseason, was reinstated from the 15-day injured list with right medial elbow inflammation. Wu left his start with forearm tightness after just 62 pitches on the 10th. He said he'd been dealing with the tightness in his forearm during his rehab outings when he had long breaks between innings. He had a long break between innings in that game on the 10th as the Mariners scored a bunch of runs in the fourth inning. And so there's that. I guess that one's a little concerning. It sounds like he just needs to be able to find a way to keep himself warm and loose during these longer innings, but something to monitor as well. Scott Service played it down. He said he's going to make his next start, but we'll have to see. And then as a corresponding move to get Wu back on the 40-man, Tyson Miller, right-handed pitcher and reliever, was designated for assignment. With that, the Mariners sit at a 22-win, 19-loss record, good for first in the American League West. Looking ahead, they close out a 6-game homestand with a 3-game set against the Kansas City Royals beginning on May 13th. May 13th and 14th are both 6:40 p.m. Pacific time first pitches, and then May 15th on Wednesday, the matinee game, the getaway game, is a 1:10 p.m. first pitch. Following a travel day and off day in Baltimore, the Mariners begin a 3-game set against the Orioles. May 17th is a 4:05 p.m. start. May 18th is a 1:05 p.m. start. And then May 19th is a 10:35 a.m. start. From there, we head into our Storm, who begin their regular season, their 2024 season, with their core four this upcoming week. So we'll go into the past week of news for the Storm. May 7th versus the Mercury was their one and only home preseason game and their last preseason game ahead of 2024. Versus the Phoenix Mercury at Climate Pledge Arena. I almost said Climate Pledge Arena. The Storm would win 85-59. This game was not televised, which is unfortunate. Our player of the game, guard Jewel Lloyd, the Gold Mamba, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal on the night. As the Storm were able to get a final sort of tune-up game here ahead of what should be an exciting season. The Storm got out to a nice lead early, a 28-16 advantage through the first quarter. They would continue to outscore the Mercury in every quarter except for the final one, and even in the fourth quarter, they were only outscored by 1 point. Nice to be able to go out and get a 29-point lead, get some nice minutes there from your starters, get some install there. There was a lot of concern with this game about how, you wanted some of the folks wanted the young players to play. And to Coach Quinn's point, she was asked pregame, what she wanted to see from this game. And part of her answer was regarding wanting to ensure that the team was able to work on, installing some of the things that they'd been working on in camp. Because to that point, unlike some teams and leagues like baseball or football, maybe even soccer to that point, these different teams aren't always able to get a ton in during the preseason to get everything set up and get their game completely set. That's not always the case here. So, it was very interesting to be able to, hear that and also see the reaction from some fans who are like, oh, why don't you play the young players? Because I get it. I do. You want to get some of these players whose spot aren't necessarily set in stone, get them minutes, but that's not always the case. So, you saw some of the starters get some key points. Neka Gumake had 15 points, 3 rebounds in this one. Very efficient. We look across here. Skylar Diggins-Smith, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. In this one, you're able to get Jordan Horston as a Magbagor back. Jordan Horston played some great defense, 9 rebounds, 7 of them defensive rebounds, 1 assist and 1 steal in this game for Jordan Horston as she's coming into her sophomore season. Nice to get Ezzy Magbagor back, 5 points, 3 blocks, 6 rebounds in this one. Nika Mule did get 6 points off the bench, 20 minutes of action, 2 for 3 shooting, 3 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 personal fouls. In this one as well, looking across it there. So, I understand the want for getting the young players, but also on the other hand, knowing that there's some stuff that some of the players who might not be considered young need to learn as well is important to note in there too. So we look over here immediately after the next day, the Storm announced a few cuts. The team announced that they had waived forwards Kayla Davis and Quay Miller and center Alana Coates. Davis averaged 14 minutes over 2 preseason games this season with the Storm, pulling down 7 rebounds and scoring 3 points with a steal and an assist. She had previously played in Seattle in 2022 on a pair of hardship contracts, one of the team of 3 teams she saw minutes with that season. She was originally drafted by Dallas and spent 3 seasons with the Wings from 2017 to 2019, averaging 6 points and 19.2 minutes in 33 games in her most recent season with the team in 2019. Quay Miller appeared in both preseason Storm games, averaging 5.5 minutes and recording a rebound and a steal. The former Kent Ridge High School star began her collegiate career at the University of Washington before she ended up transferring to Colorado for her final 3 collegiate seasons, twice earning all Pac-12 honors and averaging 10.9 points and 7.2 rebounds in 99 games with the Buffs. Coates scored 6 points along with 2 blocks, 2 rebounds, and a steal in 16 minutes of preseason action with Seattle. Overall, Coates has appeared in 95 WNBA games in her 5-year career, earning her first WNBA championship as a member of the Aces last season. Coates appeared in 10 regular season games to end the season with the Aces and then saw action in 6 playoff games. This one's a piece of and then also with the preseason game, the only player listed on the pregame report against Phoenix was Jade Melbourne, who was out with concussion protocol. A couple pieces of news on the 9th. One is technically league-related, but we're going to go over it anyway. The WNBA announced that they're set to institute a full charter program during the 2024 season. In an official release from the league, the WNBA announced a full league-wide charter program that will be phased in beginning with the start of the 2024 regular season. The groundbreaking initiative marks a significant milestone in the league's history and is a result of a successful execution of the league's strategic business transformation over the past few years. The program will be primarily operated by permanent sports charter Delta Airlines. Also in the official release, in February 2022, the WNBA raised $75 million in capital and has been deploying the capital in strategic areas such as marketing, digital transformation, globalization, and fan engagement. The league's media and corporate partners have been instrumental in investing in the league's rise, and the league's 28th season tips off on Tuesday. Other piece of news on the 9th, the Storm announced a list of different activities and activations for that opener on the 14th, presented by Providence Swedish. That first game of the year against the Minnesota Lynx has a tip-off time of 7 o'clock. At Climate Pledge Arena, the Storm will be wearing their new 2024 WNBA Nike Rebel uniforms. Fans will be able to purchase those at the Storm Team Shop within the Climate Pledge Arena, which is the layer location at Climate Pledge Arena if you're unaware and you've been to Kraken games before. The first 5,000 fans who arrived at Climate Pledge Arena for tip-off will receive a commemorative championship court collectible on behalf of Providence Swedish. The unique and highly sought-after giveaway is made from the court on which the Storm won the 2004, 2010, and 2018 championships and celebrates the Storm's 25 seasons and championship pedigree. In addition to the court giveaway and in celebration of the long-standing partnership between the Storm and Providence Swedish, all babies born on May 14th at Swedish First Hill campus this year will receive their own giveaway, a beanie to commemorate the start of the 25th season. On March 18th of 2024, Storm CFO and longest tenured employee Tricia McLean passed away. In honor of Tricia, the Storm ownership group announced a $50,000 donation to the Swedish Heart and Vascular Institute. The check will be presented to the Swedish Heart and Vascular Institute on opening night. In a quote from Ginny Gilder, Storm co-owner, Gilder said, "Tricia lived with such heart, an adventurer, constantly on the joyful search for fun, leaving a trail of family and friends who loved being with her. We are making this gift in her name to the Swedish Heart and Vascular Institute to support increased heart health for women and the loving spirit of sharing the opportunity to live life as Tricia did." So that's a really nice piece to see. We go over to the other piece of team news that we've got for you with Storm on May 11th. The team traded guard Jade Melbourne to the Washington Mystics on this day as camp cuts loom. The Storm received a 2025 third-round pick, and the Mystic received guard Jade Melbourne. This trade left the Storm with 12 players on the roster, needing to cut their roster down to 11 players. Melbourne, who the Storm originally drafted in the third round of the 2022 WNBA draft, played in 29 games as a rookie in 2023, averaging 2.6 points, 1.2 assists, and 1.2 rebounds across 10.5 minutes per game. She scored a season-high 10 points on 3 of 5 shooting while adding a season-best 5 rebounds and a block against the Los Angeles Sparks on June 3rd. So tough to see Melbourne cut. I know there's a lot of excitement with her after her WNBL season. This past Storm off season, she was someone who showed a lot. She was a really fearless point guard. She would go to the rim really hard, despite not being, a big player. Point guards typically aren't really tall. But considering, how tough this camp is going to be, the cuts are going to be, people are going to have to move, favorites we're going to lose their spots. And again, considering, the salary cap that the WNBA teams are currently working with and the roster limits that they're working with, tough decisions are made all the time. This is not anything new. So it's just tough to see another good player somewhat become victim of it. I mean, she's going to a different team, so there's that. So lots of excitement. Again, as I do with every Storm segment, since Christian's joined us, I want to push you to the Storm segment, Storm coverage that we've got on Circling Seattle Sports as well as Converge Media. As it needs to be said, because there's some other stuff going on in Converge Media right now, Circling Seattle Sports is the leading and only provider of sports coverage on Converge Media, and we've been doing so since 2021. Anybody else is just trying to replicate it. So with that, you go to the Circling Seattle Sports part of the Converge website, or you go to Circling Seattle Sports' website, and the Storm coverage, you'll find a bunch of Christian's work. He's been hard at work. He's got a bunch of other stuff he's working on as well, and we're really looking forward to seeing, how the season goes along with coverage, and you'll likely see him involved in the show here as well. So we look at it. In addition to the opener on the 14th, the Storm have 2 other games this week, 3 in total. May 14th, that opener versus the Lynx is a 7 o'clock start time at Climate Pledge Arena. It is the 2024 season and home opener for the Storm, so it's a big one to open up the league. Again, as I've talked about before, the Storm are expected to be a team that competes this year, just considering the additions of Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nneka Gwumike to go along with stars such as Jewel Lloyd and Ezi Magbagor. If you're not able to join us at Climate Pledge Arena, In terms of local TV, you can watch on Fox 13 Plus and Amazon Prime Video in Seattle. Bally Sports North Extra as well. It's on the WNBA League Pass, which is, I believe, only $35 for the year, which is a pretty good price. And it's also going to be on ESPN3. May 17th at the Lynx is a 6:30 p.m. start. First road game of the year, so the Storm kind of play a home and home. That game at the Target Center in Minneapolis will be broadcast on ION and, of course, on League Pass. And then to round out the week, May 19th, Sunday, on the road in Washington against the Mystics is a 12 p.m. start, a noon start, at the Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video in Seattle, as well as WNBA League Pass.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
Away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, so I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.
From the Storm segment of the show, we go into our Sounders, and we have our first really positive week for the club, for the Rave Green, in quite some time. I know we've had a few wins to look over, but they haven't always equated to the best overall week for the club. This time we do, which is pretty remarkable. And all began on the 8th with a U.S. Open Cup round of 32 match against Louisville City FC down at Starfire. So we go into it. Louisville City FC, in regulation, it would end tied 2-2, but our Sounders would win by a score of 5-4 in penalties. Our player of the match, goalkeeper Andrew Thomas, 4 saves, and he scored the winning goal in penalties. Yes, he scored the winning goal. He called the Sounders player off, and he took it himself to bury it in the win. The Sounders did have a 2-goal lead. Some nice play, nice set piece with an assist from Danny Leyva created the first goal of the match. I got to find out here. I believe it was Paul Rothrock who scored first. Let me get this right. We're going to get it right. Yes, it was Paul Rothrock in the 41st minute, and then the 63rd minute, Danny Musovsky scored to give the Seattle a 2-0 lead. You're like, all right, this is nice. Then in the 67th minute, though, Louisville City scores a penalty on a handball call that was a little iffy. And in the 89th minute, Louisville City ties it up. Neither team is able to do anything in the overtime periods, and we go into penalties where, as I mentioned, Andrew Thomas wins it in a legendary week that we'll talk a little bit more about later on. We go over here back to MLS regular season action. May 12th at the Portland Timbers, a 2-1 victory. Our player of the match, midfielder Christian Roldan, an 8.3 match rating, 1 goal, 1 shot, an 88% passing percentage, and 8 passes into the final third. I believe that's Christian's 5th goal against the Timbers in his career. Let me get this right. Get it right. Christian was also man of the match. Yeah, as I mentioned. 5th career goal against the Timbers that ranks 4th on the Sounders all-time list. It's the first win for the Sounders against Portland since 2021 when they also did it down in Portland in a big way. So really fantastic for Seattle to be able to do that. The pre-match injury report at Portland, 3 players out. Midfielder Josh Atencio out with a hamstring injury. He might be able to go this upcoming week. Forward Bradilio Rodriguez continues to deal with a hamstring injury, and defender Nathan out with a quad injury. As we've mentioned, he's going to be out for a few weeks. Questionable players, 3 of them here. Leo Chu questionable with a groin injury. Midfielder Pedro de la Vega is getting back. He was questionable with that hamstring injury, and defender Yemar Gomez Andrade out with the quad injury. Still wondering how long he will fully be out. Well, just looking at it here, I mean, it's a massive week, just in terms of confidence, in terms of the results, in terms of pushing yourselves forward. Just for the Sounders, considering, I like the quote that Brian Schmetzer had after the match against Louisville in that U.S. Open Cup round of 32. He said that, the U.S. Open Cup results have been able to spur on the regular season club results in years past, and that just might be what this team needed. You get some of the younger guys out here, you get the intimate experience of Starfire. You kind of bring it back to you strip away the sport to its roots, and you see it in its pure form to an extent, with the chaos of what the U.S. Open Cup is, and it can kind of help you recenter, right? So I don't know. It's really positive to get that win. It's a thrilling victory. A guy who's been big for the Sounders so far this year, and Andrew Thomas, to perform like he did, to get the win over Portland, helps you move above them in the standings, knock them down lower in the standings. Both sides of that Cascadia rivalry, not in the best of places in the standings so far this year, but it didn't matter. It was still a hell of a match. I mean, the Timbers had an opportunity on a free kick late, and they were able to miss that. It's always great to beat Portland. So, no, I mean, this could be really big for the confidence of the club moving forward, to be able to get, these two results and to have a few a piece of news that we'll talk about here in a second with team news is pretty big as well. So we'll get to it. Back on the 6th, Monday, the team signed goalkeeper Andrew Thomas to a contract extension. It was announced that he signed a new 3-year contract through the 2027 season, with club options in 2028 and 2029. Thomas originally joined the Rave Green back in 2021 following a collegiate career at Stanford. He's made nearly 50 professional appearances across all competitions, including 5 MLS regular season games this season for the Sounders. Thomas, who's 25, was originally selected off of waivers in 2021 following the conclusion of the NCAA men's soccer season. An alum of Stanford, he's made 49 professional appearances across all competitions in his career, including 35 for the Tacoma Defiance, which is Sounders' MLS Next Pro affiliate. He led the Defiance goalkeepers with 15 MLS Next Pro appearances in last season before being loaned to New Mexico United, appearing in 9 matches to close out the 2023 USL Championship campaign. He serves primarily as Stephen Fry's backup this season, but because Fry has been injured, he's been the primary starter. Thomas made his MLS debut in the club season opener against LAFC and has gone on to make 5 appearances for the club so far. Prior to joining the Sounders, Thomas was a 3-time All-Pac-12 first-team selection at Stanford. He won his 3rd Pac-12 championship with the Cardinal in spring of 2021, leading the conference with a 0.69 goals against average and recording 4 shutouts. The Moscow-born Watford FC Academy product tallied 55 appearances over 3 seasons with Palo Alto, compiling a 35-10-11 record with 23 shutouts. He's also spent time with the U.S. U23 men's national team. So nice to get Thomas locked up there. I mean, with the way that he's been playing, really since the season began, it makes sense. And with Stephen Cleveland leaving in the offseason, you were kind of wondering who the heir apparent would be behind Stephen Fry, and it seems pretty obvious after this news that they've extended Thomas, that it's going to be him, and they feel confident in that. So nice to see there. You feel the confidence in him. Also, the news that we got in team-related news, the next day after the win over Louisville City, the Sounders will face Phoenix Rising FC in the 2024 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup round of 16. That match is on May 22nd at Starfire Stadium with a 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time kickoff. Tickets will go on sale. They're already on sale, starting back on the 10th. All matches in the round of 16 will be streamed on usopencup.com, uslsoccer.com, and mlssoccer.com. Okay, yep, that's all I've got for that. We look ahead here. The Sounders sit at a 3-win, 5-loss, 4 overtime loss record. They have 12 points on the MLS season so far, good for 19th in all of MLS and 10th in the Western Conference. Looking ahead, they've got 2 matches in regular season play over the next week, so things really aren't slowing down for the Sounders. May 15th at Real Salt Lake is a 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time start. That's on Apple TV MLS Season Pass. And then May 18th in the 3rd Cascadia rivalry match that they'll play this season. So far, the Sounders will host the Vancouver Whitecaps once again with a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. This match also Apple TV MLS Season Pass.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. So where are you going to watch all of the Sounder away games this year?
Away games for the Sounders. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that's a great idea. Go Sounders. Hope we see you all here.
We go over to the Kraken here, and for some reason, when I was putting out my notes into the Kraken segment, I was like, oh, there's really not that much going on. And then I remembered that's a lie. We found out the placement for the Kraken in the NHL Draft Lottery. The NHL Draft Lottery did not give the Kraken the first overall pick, unfortunately, even though they had a whopping 6% odds to get that first overall pick and a chance to select Macklin Celebrini. So nothing there. That goes to the San Jose Sharks. They will select 8th in this year's first round. So it's a draft, though, loaded with a good amount of talent. Obviously Macklin Celebrini is a big one there, but there's at least 9 more skaters, heavy on defensemen, who are considered top 8 picks with a strong upside to become NHL regulars. Ron Francis, after the televised lottery, said, our group is pretty strong, that the top 10 in this draft are good players. I think everybody has Celebrini at 1, but then it can go a lot of different directions. We feel real confident we're going to get a good player at 8. Looking at a few players previously who have been available at the number 8 spot, you look at Willie Nylander, who signed a massive contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs previously, Jeremy Roenick and Daryl Sittler, Ray Bourque, Grant Fuhrer, last summer's pick at number 8, Ryan Leonard, selected by the Washington Capitals, notched 31 goals and 29 assists across 60 points and 41 games for Boston University. No, that's interesting to see there. Seattle had a low chance to move up and a really low chance to move back. So staying at the number 8 overall pick was really, it made sense. There's not a lot of surprise there. But so we'll see there. The NHL draft will be held within the Sphere in Las Vegas. It will represent the first live event broadcast from the newly opened Vegas attraction at the Sphere for this upcoming NHL draft. In addition to that, we've got a bunch of Kraken players on World Championship rosters, 7 of them in a 2023 second rounder representing 6 different countries at the IHF World Championship, as Philip Grubauer made 35 saves in a big opening day win. So pretty cool there. We go to it here. Let's see what we've got currently. On opening day, May 10th, both Jared McCann and Team Canada, Jared McCann and Brandon Tanev, helping Team Canada currently. McCann said he's very happy to be back on the ice. He's stationed in Prague, one of the 2 cities in Czechia hosting the 2024 IAHF Men's World Championships, representing Team Canada alongside Brandon Tanev and Jamie Alexiak. In some pre-tourney practices in a game against Team Hungary in Budapest, McCann said, it's been great so far. I have past relationships with some players, such as Michael Bunting. We played together in the Sioux. Obviously, having Tanev and Jamie here makes things easier, too. McCann said there hasn't been too much talk about defending last spring's Team Canada gold medal because there's no need. Every guy here wants to win a gold medal. So nice to see that there. You look over at Group A in Prague. There are 3 Kraken and their Canadian squad members who also feature Connor Bedard, of course, are part of Group A for the qualifying round. Great Britain is also in that. Canada will face them previously on Saturday. Czechia and Finland are in there as well. Oscar Fisker Molgaard is with Team Denmark in their lineup. He'll be competing for his home nation, the Danish squad. He's impressed in pre-tourney practices and scrimmages. He will be joined on the team by his countrymen, as well as former Coachella Valley Firebirds and Seattle Thunderbirds forward Alex True, who was the Kraken's expansion draft pick from San Jose. Molgaard finished a solid season in the top Sweden Pro League, notching 9 goals and 12 assists across 50 games, which is a league largely comprised of grown men, and Molgaard's not necessarily a grown man, so that's pretty impressive. The forward prospect scored 2 goals and recorded 3 assists for Team Denmark's U20 squad in 5 games this season, and added 4 assists in 2 games of international play with the men's team. Going over to Team Germany, Philipp Grubauer is in Group B. His hometown of Rosenheim is about a 5-hour drive to Prague and closer to 7 hours to Ostrava, where Group B is playing. The Germans opened the tourney with a 6-4 win over Slovakia, and as he was playing against Grubauer's Seattle teammate Tomáš Tatar. After a scoreless for a period, Germany took a 2-0 lead, only for Slovakia to tie the game. From there, the Germans built to their lead to 4-2, and they did not lose that. Grubauer made 35 saves in net against Slovakia, which launched 8 shots on goal in the first 20 minutes, then 11 in the middle frame, and 16 in the third period. Andrei Burakovsky is in Group B as well with Team Sweden. As you'll remember when we talked about exit interviews, Kraken GM Ron Francis said that he was happy for Andrei Burakovsky to get more high competition game action since, he really had been dealing with injuries on and off this past year. He's a guy that missed a lot of hockey, and as a result, he's not as confident in who he is and what he can do. I think that carried over into some of his game and his ability. I'm excited that he's going to go play in the World Championships. I think that's good for him to continue to play hockey and get some more games under his belt. Hopefully that helps get him his timing back where next year he's ready to go. Sweden won their opener, beating Team USA for a 5-2 result. Along with Germany, Sweden, USA, and Slovakia, Group B includes France and Kraken center Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who is a stalwart for his native country, whose international play prompted NHL interest that would help land him as a 28-year-old rookie who has now played in 700-plus NHL games. Bellemare and his French teammates will first face Kazakhstan. Poland, 2002 was the last time that they were in the top tier of the IIHF Worlds, and Latvia fill out Group B. So we've got that, and then there's a little bit interesting. There's been a lot of speculation recently. There's always a lot of talk about the Sonics in this city, of course, but further speculation took off last week from when Kraken co-owner Samantha Holloway teased a summer rollout of an umbrella company that would presumably encompass the potential of a revived Sonics franchise in the NBA, given her family's pledge to seek any availability for an NBA team. That rollout will continue an offseason of major Kraken change on and off of the ice, as well as in the team's executive ranks and now beyond with this new company. In an email message that was sent out to season ticket holders, it was said to watch out for a parent brand that will umbrella the Kraken brand and prepare for other big opportunities. There was no specification further on that, or no specific wording about basketball at all. This sort of company, though, has been in the works for more than 2 years, with the hope of preparing Kraken owners for the possibility of that NBA expansion, which is assumed really close, considering the NBA media rights deal rapidly approaching. It's reportedly close to finalizing that new NBA national television network deal for 3 times the amount of their current expiring 9-year, $24 billion deal. Yes, I said billion. Expansion is expected to be the league's next major addenda item after that. Seattle and Las Vegas are currently viewed as the front-running expansion targets. Nothing is necessarily imminent, but the Kraken forming that umbrella company does leave them well-positioned to help NBA expansion come here if that's so to arise. In a report from Jeff Baker of the Seattle Times, a source close to the team explained as the Kraken organization grows and takes on projects like renovation of Memorial Stadium, the need for umbrella brand becomes clear. Nothing's changed within the NBA, but obviously you have to be careful with that process and take it one step at a time. As you'll know, the Kraken ownership group led by Holloway and her co-owner, father David Bonderman, are entwined with Todd Lewicki's OVG company in the $150 million rebuild of Memorial Stadium at the Seattle Center into a new modernized 10,000-seat venue by the 2027 year. This One Roof partnership name is a nod to the NHL team's One Roof Foundation charity arm, which handles the public schools component of the project. So there's that to look forward to. Obviously, there's nothing that's finalized, but something to really pay attention to, and obviously a lot of folks are excited about.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. Where are you going to watch all those Kraken away games?
Cracking away games, making a push. I was thinking of coming here just because Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, only if that's okay with you.
I mean, I love that idea. Hope to see you here.
Over to our other soccer team here, not the other soccer team, but our pro women's soccer team in the Seattle Reign. And this one, a tough week. Over the 2 matches that they played this calendar week, just 1 point out of the 2, and an ugly loss against a rival. So we'll get into it. The first one, May 8th, a tough Wednesday night game against the Kansas City Current, who the Current are the top team in the league right now in the NWSL. Have just a ton of attacking talent, have had a lot of success so far. Their goal differential is big. They got the most points in the league, or at the point where they were tied for the most points in the league. And the Reign were able to hold them to a scoreless draw. Big there. Goalkeeper Laurel Ivory was massive in this one. An 8.5 match rating and a player of the match honors as well. 6 saves, 74% passing percentage, 41% on long balls, 5 diving saves, 1 save inside the box. 1 time she acted as the sweeper. 3 throws, 2 high claims, 9 recoveries, and 52 touches in general. Big one here for the Reign to get. They were the Current dominated a lot of the big stats here: possession, shots on target, total shots. The Current had 19 shots. The Reign had 5. The Reign had 1 shot on target. The Current had 5. The Current had 2 big chances. The Reign had none. They had better passing. They did commit more fouls, and they had 7 corners to the Reign's just 2. So just big here. Laurel Ivory was great. Great defensive effort. Some big blocks for the Reign defenders as well, and they're able to split the points there. But they have to go and play against Portland in a really busy week. On the road, May 11th, a 0-4 loss. As in shutouts, we don't pick players of the match. This one was tough. The Reign were putting on a lot of great chances throughout the first half. Off a goal kick, the Thorns were able to get their first goal of the match. Olivia Moultrie has a nice shot, as she's really left unmarked, unfortunately. And the Reign players and their coach argued as well that they were the better team throughout the course of this match. Then Sophia Smith is given a penalty in the 80th minute, which gained a lot of controversy, especially from Jess Fishlock and head coach Laura Harvey. And then things kind of just break loose. As the Reign are trying to get back into it, the Thorns add goals in the 90+3 minute and the 90+8 minute. And Seattle loses their first contest against Portland and their 3rd consecutive against the Thorns. Just a tough one there, considering how it all went down, and just trying to prove, that the results themselves don't always necessarily, the base result doesn't always tell the entire story of the match. So we'll look at it here. We'll try to get you the availability reports for these different matches. We're going back to, and a few different notes, of course, from these matches here. So for against the Current, decently longer list here. 4 players were out, none were questionable against Kansas City. Claudia Dickey dealing with a knee injury, Jordan Heidema with a back injury, Ziara King out due to the red card suspension, and Quinn, they are still dealing with a knee injury. And then we go over here to a few things that happened during the Kansas City match. In this match, Sofia Huerta became only the 7th player in NWSL history to reach 15,000 regular season minutes played. And then draft pick Maddie Mercado made her NWSL debut as a late substitute in the 90+7th minute. We go from there over to later in the week, of course, with this Portland match and the availability report here. Where did I go? I had it here. Alana Cook was actually part of the availability report against the Current. As she was a late addition with an illness. She was out. Shea Holmes stepped in to get the start and was big for the Reign there. Cook was questionable against Portland with that illness, and then the same three that have been dealing with issues injury-related the last few weeks, and Dickey, Huitema, and Quinn all still out. Huitema still is referred to as the closest to return to action and has been doing on-the-field work, and Dickey is closer from there, but still both not available for selection for the Reign. So, I mean, you look at this past week, and it's tough. I mean, you know, the Reign played, let's look back at it. The Reign played on the 3rd, they played on the 8th, and then they played on the 11th. That's 3 matches within a 2, 4, 6, 8, a 9. The 3 matches within a 9-day slate. That's not easy whatsoever. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. 3 matches within 9 days. I mean, there's a little chance to be able to rest, recover. There's a little chance to be able to get back on the training field and fix what you're doing within that time. So, and especially dealing with a rivalry match, you've got, you've got the Wave on the 3rd, which the Wave have been a big team this year. They won the Shield last year, and the Reign barely beat them last season in the playoffs. You've got the Kansas City Current, who are one of the best clubs in the league right now, points-wise, and they've been excellent with the attack, and they've got great depth. And then you look at Portland, who have improved since some struggles. They're on a 5-match winning streak, which I believe is the first in club history, and it's a rivalry match. So that 3-game stretch is pretty brutal. And so for the Reign to get a win against San Diego, a draw against the Wave, not ideal to lose like you did against Portland, but I'm not really blowing the alarm bells right now when it comes to this club. I mean, it's not great if you look at it at the base level, just considering where the club is sitting right now in terms of the table itself. But, all things considered with context, it's a really tough week, and I'm really not going to push them too hard because of that. They sit at they're 12th in the table right now. Points-wise, they can move up. Oh, yeah. Points-wise, they can move up pretty easily with a win. I mean, a win would – oh, no. Sorry, I was looking at matches played. Duh. A win does move them up a few places, and if you're able to do so from there, getting closer to the top spots of where the playoffs are is not out of the question. And just considering where the club has been with just a few things execution-wise needing tweaks, I'm not overly concerned is the point, but there are some things that the Reign need to address and look at going forward. So from there, they sit at a 2-win, 6-loss, 1-draw record, 7 points in the standings right now, good for 12th place overall in the league. They have not won a match yet on the road, which is something they need to be able to do. Looking at it, sorry, I lost track here. We look at the Reign. Over the next week, they have just 1 match to play, which is nice, which is May 19th versus the Orlando Pride, who have also been one of the best teams in the league. This is AANHPI Heritage Celebration match at Lumen Field. It's a 3 p.m. start time. You can watch this on NWSL Plus and on Kong. AANHPI Heritage Celebration, and against the Orlando Pride here, who are just behind the Kansas City Current with 21 points. Second in the standings, a 6-win, 6-win, 0-loss, 3-draw record. They are 2 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw on the road. So something to look at going forward.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
Away games? Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.
Heading into our Seawolves segment of the show, and normally, we've had a lot of success with the Seawolves. Great 8-1 start to the season so far. Really happy with how that's gone. But tough result this past week. So we'll get into it on the road, May 11th at NOLA Gold Rugby. An upset loss, a 32-31 loss. Our Seawolves fall in the gold mine in New Orleans. Just a tough one here. I mean, the Seawolves did have a decent lead earlier into this match. NOLA was able to roar back into this one, and despite a late Seawolves push, Seattle was unable to get the victory. Going into halftime, the Seawolves led 24-10. NOLA did get on the board first with a penalty kick. J.P. Smith got across the line for the second try of the match. Mac Mason, converts the try 14-3. A penalty kick helped push Seattle 17-3. NOLA did respond with their first try to make it 17-10. A Taylor try for the third score of the day for Seattle, and the good kick made it 24-10 at half. So you think, okay, nice 24-10 lead against a NOLA team that's sitting in the standings around, the third place spot in the standings, third to fourth place spot in the standings in the Eastern Conference. You feel decently good, just especially considering how well the Seawolves have done. But NOLA gets the first try of the second half. They get another one. And then they get a penalty kick to go. They get those three scores in succession to make it 24 Seattle to 25 NOLA. Then they get a fourth try and a bonus point to NOLA, making it a 24-32 score. So Seattle's deficit grows. The Seawolves did get their fourth try, and the kick was good to make it 31-32. But they weren't able to get a game winner, and they ultimately fall by that score of 32-31. Ryan Rees did enter the pitch to earn his 50th cap, so caps off to Ryan there. But certainly tough. Seattle gets shown 2 yellow cards in the match and concede 15 total penalties, which is tough here. More lineouts and more scrums for NOLA. Seattle does get 7 restarts in this. Seattle does go 4 for 4 in conversions. But just tough here. I mean, even Seattle did lose despite the fact that NOLA did miss a penalty kick. They were 2 for 3 on the match. There are points scored leaders. Devon Russo, 10 points for Seattle, followed by Mac Mason with 9. Mac Mason, 3 goal kicks in this one. Russo had 2 tries scored. Mac Mason led the match in kicking meters at 248. Hugh Taylor led the tackles made department in this match with 20. Devon Rousseau led in running meters with 121. And the Seawolves ball carrier, not the match ball carrier leader, was Jade Stigling with 9 of them, tied with Devon Rousseau. So, I mean, this is tough. Just you're playing a NOLA team. It's nice to see the parity in the league, I guess, if you want to take a silver lining out of that, but tough. Especially considering how the Houston SaberCats now do have that sole possession of the top spot in the Western Conference at 9-1. Seawolves sitting at 8-2. You're 4 points behind Houston right now, but I mean, you're going to be able to take this and learn from it and then move on to the next match. So not a lot of pouting you can do. You're going to have to be able to look forward and ahead and go from there, which I'm sure they'll do. There's still time for them to be able to learn from it. It's not like it's the end of the world here. So, looking forward to how they'll have to be able to do that. I mean, Seattle still will play Houston later on in the season. So there's plenty of opportunity to do that with, about 6 matches to play in the regular season. So not concerned in that department. We go over here to team-related news. It's not like super deep team-related news, but it's something that I figured we'd mention, right? On the 10th, it was announced that Chance Wangluski has a T-shirt collaboration with the Seawolves. The design was hand-drawn by the Seawolves player and artist specifically for the Seattle fan base. His shirts have a history of selling out, so you don't want to miss out on getting yours. Let me make sure by the time I'm reading this that it's not sold out already. No, it is not. Thank goodness. Okay, I'm going to have to get mine here too. So, in a quote in this press release from it, what an honor to combine 2 of my special passions, rugby and art, and to have the opportunity to share them both with the Seals community. This design stems from the diverse beauties of Seattle, beginning with Mount Rainier. It also includes the incredible trees and cherry blossoms that we are all surrounded by. Last but not least, I've included the Seawolves that bring us together every Friday night. Portions of the proceeds will go to Loose Heads, rugby clothing designed to tackle the stigma of mental health. Looseheads provides resources and toolkits for mental health training, a 24/7 text line, signposting content, and much, much more, which is very cool to see. Which, this just further adds to the great, different merchandise that the Seawolves have. So I'll put the link in the description of the episode and as well of the individual segment here for the Seawolves, but wanted to include that. So we look ahead here. The Seawolves sit at an 8-2 record through 10 matches played, 40 points on the season, second overall in Major League Rugby at those 40 points. As the highest point getter in the Eastern Conference, the New England Free Jacks sits at just 30, 4 points behind first place in the West, Houston, who sits at 9-1. Their next match for the Seawolves is May 19th on the road again, 4 o'clock Pacific time start at Choctaw Stadium in Arlington against the Dallas Jackals in their second year of existence. This will be on Root Sports and the Rugby Network, so you'll be able to follow along with that there. So be able to check that out. Moving to end our show, we go to our Seattle Orcas segment of the show. If you don't know, the Seattle Orcas are the Seattle professional cricket team that went all the way to the Major League Cricket Championship last season. We've got a few pieces of news here. May 10th, the ICC Men's T20 WC Trophy Tour came to Bellevue and Seattle on the 10th. When the World Cup announced its 2024 schedule in the USA and the West Indies, the Orcas wanted to ensure that cricket fans in the area would get a chance to spend time and get a photo with the trophy as it toured North America. Back on Friday, the Orcas hosted the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Trophy at 3 prime locations: Bellevue City Hall, the Space Needle, and Bellevue's downtown park. Bellevue Mayor Lynn Robinson and Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell personally welcomed the historic trophy in all of its glory as part of the tour, which comes ahead of the much-anticipated multinational event in the United States and West Indies this June. Seattle was the third city in the USA part of this tour after New York and Houston. At the fan rally in Bellevue, renowned New Zealand batter and Orcas batting coach Ross Taylor and domestic player all-rounder Harmeet Singh represented the team, taking photos and signing bats from families young and old all over the region. America's favorite cricket team had a strong showing at the afternoon event with over 1,500 people in attendance. There was this piece of news. In addition, as well, to note, one of the most memorable evenings for cricket in the Pacific Northwest, the Orcas are planning to host a World Cup watch party at Fisher Pavilion of the Seattle Center on June 9th at 7 a.m. to watch India versus Pakistan. Also on May the 12th, saw a few Orcas at T-Mobile Park ahead of the Mariners game that day. They were there prior to the game. And I learned that there will be a cricket demonstration held at the ballpark on AANHPI night, on May 29th at the ballpark, with more information to come from that. You'll see some of those photos that I got from that as a bat was presented from Ross Taylor to Luke Raley, and Luke Raley presented a bat to those Orcas in attendance. So really big week, with a few different things. There's some minor stuff for the Seahawks, the Mariners. I was in Minnesota this past week for that series. Nice to get the series win over the Athletics, including the series win on Mother's Day. You look at the Storm; they begin their season this upcoming week. We'll get some official cuts and all of that tomorrow, or by the time that this is being seen today. The Sounders get a big week. The Kraken, some big news and some big speculation. The Reign, a tough week. Hopefully they're able to get some rest and recovery after that. The Seawolves suffer an upset loss, unfortunately, and we'll get back to some Orcas coverage. So great to have that. Great to have you here with us here at Circling Seattle Sports. Until we see you next week, take care of yourselves, be well, do whatever you can to make today a great day, and check out our merch at circlingseattlesports.com.